So we all know that India is vaccinating its citizens. At the same time, it has to procure enough vaccines so that it can vaccinate everyone in the country, at least a minimum threshold of 70% of the population, so that we can achieve herd immunity in the country. Now, at the same time, let's talk about the vaccine prices. The central government is able to procure vaccines for close to 150 rupees. Let us give a little more leverage and say that 200 rupees. Now, central government is able to purchase vaccines for about 150 to 200 rupees. At the same time, it has allowed states to procure on its own, and now states are procuring by calling global tenders, wherein the two manufacturers are within India. The Covishield vaccine maker and the Covaxin vaccine makers are within India, but these guys are calling global tenders. Now, yes, with global tender, we can expect only Sputnik 5 because the central government has given permission for Sputnik 5, which is a Russia vaccine. Now, these vaccines are sold to the state governments for a price of about 400 to 600 rupees. And at the same time, the manufacturers are also in contact with the private hospitals. Now, private hospitals are also procuring from these manufacturers, and the manufacturers are selling to private hospitals for close to 1,250 to 1,500 rupees on an average. And I don't know for how much price that they are selling, but these guys are procuring it for that price and selling it to the people. Now, I don't know what is the margin for the private hospitals, but the state governments are doing a fantastic job by giving it out free of cost to its citizens. And even the central government, with whatever amount it is procuring, it is giving free of cost to the state governments, and in turn, state governments are vaccinating us. Now, here there is a small dilemma, and I would like to highlight it. Now, let's say when there are different types of vaccines and there are different prices for each vaccine, imagine what would the manufacturer do. He's going to give more number of vaccines to people who are, to whom he can actually sell it for a higher price. For example, if he can sell that same 150 rupees vaccines that he is selling it to the central government, the same vaccine which he produced in that same batch, he is going to sell it to the private hospital for 900 rupees or 1000 rupees, isn't it? So it is more profitable for him to sell it to the private hospitals than to the governments. So what is he going to do? He's going to channelize it more in this way, and private hospitals will take those vaccines and they will sell it for 1,250 to 1,500, and it is said that some hospitals even charge 1,800 rupees per vaccine plus 200 rupees as registration fees. This is the kind of affairs that is happening in India. The central government would have done a very good job by just centralized through a centralized procurement system. It would have got together all the vaccine makers, decided a plan through a PowerPoint presentation, and placed orders and procured them, and then give it out to all the states and private hospitals for them to vaccinate. I'm still completely out of words. I'm not really sure. I've tried exploring as many articles as possible why the government is doing this way. I have not found a single answer for this question. Only the central government has to answer. Right now, the case is in court. Thankfully, somebody had filed a petition, and the court is hearing it, and the central government has to be answerable to why it is doing this way. The other thing that I would like to highlight is recently I received a message, not recently, just a day or 2 days back. I received a message from Team Tejasvi Surya, and the message had. Let me just give you a small idea about what the message had. It said that the vaccination drive for senior citizens is going on, especially those people who have missed their second dose of Covaxin, which is the costliest vaccine at this moment. Even Sputnik 5, you can get it for 900 rupees, but Covaxin is 1215, which is an Indian manufactured vaccine which got tied up with the ICMR, which is the government organization. Look at the hypocrisy. Look at the way things are happening. A government assisted vaccine development in the country is charging the highest price. Okay. Now, 1,250 rupees. So it asked for those people who have not got the second dose of Covaxin can actually register on the CoWIN portal and then come to the vaccination center. There is no walk-in allowed. This is for senior citizens. Okay. And the price for each dose of vaccine is 1,250 rupees. Now, what do you understand from this? It's a clear kind of acceptance that the state has completely failed in at least vaccinating the senior citizens, let alone people who are less than 44 years of age. At least senior citizens who are trying to tap their retirement funds, their pension funds to live their day-to-day life, they are, asking 1,250 rupees as vaccine price. How fair is this? Now you might say that people with money might go to the Vasavi hospital and get themselves vaccinated, but at the same time, why is there so much inequality? Isn't it a kind of stratification? A person who lives closer to Vasavi hospital and who has got a first dose of vaccine somewhere near the government hospital, now now the 6 weeks has passed, right? Now he has to get a booster dose, but unfortunately the kind of vaccines that are procured are being sold at around 1,250 rupees. How fair is this? Now the private manufacturers will also feel that because they're getting a higher price at a private hospital, they'll be channelizing more to these private hospitals more than the state governments and the central government. Even though the central government has said that it is going to procure 50% of vaccines in the country, and the remaining 50% the state governments and the private hospitals will be procuring. But isn't it something that is against an egalitarian society? Vaccination process was another chance for the society to come together, that is the rich and the poor coming together. We have seen people coming together during the elections. When they go out to vote, they stand in queue, but the vaccination process was another chance for the rich to meet the poor. Now let me give you other example. Let's say there are couples and they are senior citizens now. They own a small shop, and that small shop, let's say it's a repair shop or a provision store. Now it is shut from past 1 year because they could not open it up because of lockdown and all that. Now the monthly income of that family has reduced. They have to pay rent to that shop. They also have to pay rent to their house. They don't have a vehicle in their house. Now, all these things let us take into consideration. First and foremost, their monthly incomes have reduced. Now, whatever savings they had, they're trying to use those savings to live their day-to-day life. At the same time, you're asking them to pay up 1,250 rupees for a second dose of vaccine. And how fair is this? At the same time, you're organizing the vaccination at places that are unreachable, because right now a lockdown is going on, the vehicles are not available, the cab facilities or autos are not available. How will this couple go to that vaccination center to get vaccinated? Because they don't have a vehicle at home at all, right? So this is a clear way of excluding a certain section of the society, a poor section of the society, a section of society that cannot afford certain things in their daily needs, in their daily life. Because the reason why I'm stressing more on this is because the monthly medical expenditure per capita of a family is about 156 rupees. Now, for a senior citizen, this will be even more, right? This is as per 2017-2018 data. 156 rupees is their monthly medical expenditure. Now, you're charging for the second dose about 1,250 rupees. That's almost a 500% increase in their expenditure. To get that 1,250 rupees, they'll have to work extra, they'll have to tap their savings fund, and it is going to be an extremely difficult task for this family to live up. At the same time, there are no transportation to go to the vaccination center, and it again, disables them even though they are capable of doing it. And then you're asking them to register in the CoWIN portal. A lot of families who are old now, senior citizens are those people who were born in 1960s, in that era, and they are still more averse about utilizing these WhatsApp or mobile phones and all those things. They might be having a simple handset, not even an internet facility available in it, and even if they have a smartphone, they will not be recharging their internet, because it costs them even more, because every month you'll have to recharge for 300 rupees, or in a yearly packet might cost about 2,500 rupees. So it's not that easy the way the central government is looking at the situation. Every family has a different story to tell, and India is a country with about 25% of its population below the poverty line. And despite knowing these kind of statistics, the government is a little blind to these kind of things. Moreover, the Vasavi hospital case, it was portrayed in such a way that it was conducting this vaccination drive in support of the Bengaluru MP Tejasvi Surya. And if it is conducting in support of Bengaluru MP Tejasvi Surya, it has to be made free of cost, isn't it? Because he represents the central government. And probably they are using this name because he holds a lot of fanfare and following amongst the youth and the old, and they thought that because if his name is there in the photo, people will come and get vaccinated. But even if they are coming there to get vaccinated, it is either going to be the rich section of the population, which means you're making only the rich immune to this disease and letting the people out. Or even if the poor people come down there to get vaccinated because they've almost passed the 6 week gap, that means you are hitting down their pension funds, you're hitting down their retirement funds. At the same time, last but not the least, I would like to highlight one more thing. About 7 million employees have tapped their retirement funds of the EPFO so that they can utilize that money for their medical expenditure, for their day-to-day life expenditure, for their unforeseen circumstances. Now imagine the plight of a pensioner. Imagine the plight of a senior citizen. It is not easy. The central government has to come out with a solution, with a centralized procurement policy, with a centralized pricing system. Only then this vaccination thing can be solved in the country. At the same time, I would like to highlight one more thing. The central government has to pressurize Bharat Biotech to publish their peer-reviewed journal for the third phase of efficacy trials, which is still not published. And without this information, the efficacy is not going to be questioned a lot, because right now you have given emergency approval only to Covaxin and Covishield, and there is no complete approval. Imagine when these two vaccines get a complete approval for mass vaccination, imagine the amount of money that they are going to charge. It is not easy. Please look up to it.